Well, since I'm doing one video, I might as well do a few more. And this one's going to be an interesting one because it's a date that is extremely coveted for a couple of reasons. But yeah, let's see what we can find, shall we? Okay, I'm going to slide over again because you're going to want to see this. In just a second here, I'm going to throw up a picture. You're going to need this whole area right here. So we're going to open a 44 Denver roll, 1944D. There are two very important, what they call over mint marks. And remember, if you watched my 44 Philadelphia roll video just earlier that I did today, you heard me mention the fact that it was very common as they were producing the 1944 cents for the mints to obviously share their dies, so to speak. So Philadelphia shared the dies with both Denver and San Francisco, and the mint marks were basically put on, and as a result of that, from what I understand, all the mint marks were actually put on at the Philadelphia Mint. So they would ship the San Francisco ones to San Francisco, and they would ship the Denver ones to Denver. And from what I understand, the San Francisco Mint had a couple of extra dies, and the Denver Mint needed them, and the Philadelphia Mint didn't have what they were looking for. So the San Francisco Mint sent the Denver Mint a pair of dies, a couple of dies actually, and they had the San Francisco S on them already. So the Denver Mint tried to erase them and then stamp a D over top of it, and they didn't get the S completely removed. Right here. This is the FS 511 D over S, and this is the highly coveted one of the two that are available. There's also the FS 512. I'll show that in a minute. But this one, the reason why it's so coveted is because of the fact that it is very, very defined. You can see the S quite well right here underneath the D. And it's available in different stages, and I'll explain that in another video. But the point is that this is what you're looking for, is this particular one. And in even just average grades, for example, a 65, for example, will set you back somewhere, or well, either set you back if you're going to purchase it or make money if you're going to sell one. 1,500 bucks. If you happen to find one in a 66, for example, those go for about $3,500. The FS 512, which is this little guy right here, is also a D over an S, but it's a little harder to see. Therefore, it's not as highly desired. It does still have an FS number. It's a FIVA Stanton number, which relates to the Cherry Pickers Guide. I'll get into that in another video too, so I don't bore you. But those numbers are basically put on these coins, and they're recognized varieties of coins for the over mint mark in this particular year. Now, those two particular ones are the only two that are known. There have always been people that say, I found another one and stuff like that, but it's never been able to be verified from what I understand. The interesting thing about both of these is that obviously everybody's trying to find the best of the best. There is, I think, a 67 of the FS 511 out there that sells for some $50,000 or something like that. Pretty cool if you can get your hands on one. We're hoping that this roll might have one in it, and we'll take a look, and hopefully the coins are as nice as the 44 Philadelphia roll that I just opened. I'm not expecting that. We'll get into what those are here and what the roll was kind of like when I go to open it, and what I usually see with the 1944 Denver Mint rolls. So here we go. This is the 44 Denver Mint roll of these double capped rolls that I've been opening from Dennis, and I'm finding that I'm absolutely loving it to the point at which I almost got up at 4 o'clock in the morning the other morning to come down and open some of these because I couldn't sleep, and so I got the cap off that. These are just incredibly tight little rolls, and the caps don't always want to come off. So the 1944 Denver Mint also saw a very, very large number of coins made for the Denver Mint. The San Francisco Mint always lagged behind, and it's because they didn't need as many coins out on the West Coast. There weren't as many people out there in the mid 40s as there were on the East Coast. Um, and so wow, this one's really just tough. But you can still find really really nice rolls of coins for the Denver Mint ones. But the interesting thing to note about these is because so many were minted, they were not saved as much as the some of the like the 43 rolls, for example, because they were needed. It was the middle of a war, and not as many of the 1944 coins were saved as people would think, just because there were so many made. And it was kind of like the Depression. Coins were a commodity, and Lincoln cent actually held some buying power back in 1944. So let's go ahead and see if I can get into this roll again. That's my goal, is to knock that one loose. Guess what we've got? Oh my god, I'm loving this so much. Look at that coin. Just amazing. That's just stunning. All right, so let's see if we can pop this open. I should probably just put my mask on now, uh, knowing what I'm seeing about this, but maybe I'm not going to get lucky. Notice how I try and always I don't dump them into a pile. Never ever dump your coins into a giant pile, even if you're wearing gloves. And part of the reason for that is dumping them into a pile is the same thing as what happened when they went into the big bins at the mint. They would literally just wind up with contact marks all over them. So I always try and slide them out as best I possibly can. And let's take a peek. Wow, just wow. Yeah, I'm gonna put my mask on just because it's smarter, safer, more worth it. There you go, guys. Again, beautiful, beautiful coins. I'll get some close-up pictures of these. Holy cow, just stunning. They don't have that rosy color that the Philadelphia Mint ones had in the last video I took, but they're practically flawless in terms of hit marks. I'm looking at this. I gotta find my glasses. I'm looking at this one, and I see nothing for. And these are actually really well struck. Holy cow! Look at that. Both sides really well struck. So you'll get a chance to see these up close. I'll take some pictures and put these pictures, up on the thing when we go through it. But we've opened up this roll. Now, what I'm going to do before I actually grade these out on the grading mat, I'm going to search the roll and see if I find any varieties in there, whether it be a repunched mint mark or the over mint marks that we're looking for. And I'll come back in just a minute with that. We obviously know these are good quality coins, so if I find one of those repunched mint marks or over mint marks, we've got some serious money here. So hang tight. Well, yeah, as expected, I didn't have any luck finding any variety whatsoever. What I did notice is there are a total whopping three different die pairs in this roll, which means this is a very, very original roll from the same time period. So it either came out of a bank bag or something. But Usually you look for die pairs. There's about 2 to 3 die pairs in a really, really nice roll, and upwards in the range of 4 or 5 die pairs in the average roll of coins. And die pairs are basically different dies are used to produce different coins. They don't use the same die to produce all of these. So um, or all of the coins. But anyway, again, another video, talk about that. What I did find is a nice roll of coins. As you can tell, there's a lot of 66s in here, 67. So if there would have been a really nice variety in here, I might have gotten pretty lucky monetarily. I've got these 3 coins set out over here because I'm going to take some individual pictures of these 3 coins and talk about them so that you can see the difference. One of the things that held a lot of these coins in the 66 row back from being, say, a 66 plus or even a 67 was, it's not that they didn't have the clear fields and the lack of hits and stuff like that, bag marks, but the quality of the strike wasn't quite there. So that's what happens. You're producing that many coins, you're gonna try and maximize as many coins as you can out of each individual die, and so as a result, you wind up getting coins that start to show what's called die deterioration. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, nice roll of coins. Hang on, I'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm going to stay sandwiched in the middle here, and you're going to see coins come up on either side of me here and here. And the coin that's going to go up on the left is this one, and this one is a little bit better struck than the coin on the right here. They're both the same coin. So, what held some of these coins back from a better grade? Coins are beautiful. They're stunning. They've got great color. Not quite the same kind of color as the 44 Philadelphia roll, but they're very clean. They have very few bag marks, very few contact marks. And I found only 1 coin in the roll with any type of carbon spot to it. So, what keeps these 2 coins, which are, for the most part, if they were both struck equally as well, would probably fall to that class of 66 plus to 67, but they're both in kind of the 66, and the one here on the right is probably the one that is going to be more, it might even get downgraded to a 65 because of its strike. So let's take a good look. Take a look at the one on the left here. And where I've got the arrow pointing up at the very top up there, you're going to see the word trust. And you're going to see that it's separated from the rim. It has a nice clean strike to it. And it's just more defined. Same with the hair on the back of his head. Same with the jacket and stuff like that. They're a little bit stronger struck than the coin on the right. Now, the coin on the right, you'll notice up at the top in the motto where it says trust, you're going to notice that there's a ring. Looks like a line that goes through that. Now, the purpose of this video is not just to show off these rolls, but also to teach. And so here I'm going to teach you a little bit about what's called die deterioration. And die deterioration, really, for the most part, is just what it sounds like. It's the die deteriorating over the course of time when it's trying to press out as many coins as humanly possible as it gets towards the end of its life. The die actually starts to flatten out. And as it flattens out, it can't push the metal further out to the edge the way that it normally does with a strong die. So you get what's called a ridge ring around the outside edge. Now, that ridge ring can be anywhere around the outside, but they tend to show up usually towards the motto. And if there's a whole bunch of reasons for it, I actually made a whole video about die deterioration. So go back in my history and check out that particular video. I don't have to explain the whole thing here, but that ridge ring is basically the die saying, I don't have enough strength to actually push this metal all the way out to the edge and give these really defined letters and stuff like that. So that's the reason why these 2 coins, for the most part, are almost identical in terms of their look, their color, their quality of the coin in terms of lack of bag marks and contact marks. But the right one will probably grade a 65, maybe a 66, but I'm betting 65 because of the strike. And the one on the left That one's going to grade a 66 or maybe even a 66 plus. The back of the one on the right is actually a really, really nicely struck reverse. And remember, there's always two sides to the coin. So you can have a coin that looks like either one of these, and you can have a back that looks absolutely terrible and it's going to get downgraded. So, that's again, another video. So, yeah, there's your, I guess, 1944 Denver Mint, or Denver Mint. Sorry, I'm getting confused now. 44 Denver Mint roll from these double capped rolls. I'm going to go ahead and open I got a couple of really fun ones coming up that are kind of tough dates. So we're going to open one of those next. I don't know if I'll make a video about it or not, but we'll see. Maybe depends on what I find. Have a nice evening. If you enjoyed the video and you learned something, especially at the end, hit the subscribe button. Thanks.